What's going on, guys? It's your boy Ethan. I was enjoying a fun day at the pool before I got a text at a really cool opportunity, and it's to play in a live stream here at the Hard Rock. It's gonna be a 25-50 game of the pool. I got a text. I'm gonna go. Poker night in America. Who would have thought? I'm leaving the pool day, my break day of tournaments, for this cash game. I'm gonna rush to the room, get ready, and play some cash. After splashing around in the pools, I'm now happy to splash around on the poker tables. I buy in for $50,000 and I check out the pretty cool set of the Poker Night in America stream. Anyways, let's get into the poker action here where there's a $100 straddle on, and like I said, get used to it. This is not the typical 25-50 game. Anyways, Matt Glantz, the $1 million bounty winner of this WSOP series, he raises it up to $300. I have ace 10 offsuit in position of him, and I think this hand serves as a call versus a raise. So I make the call, and the big blind comes along as well. So three ways. The flop comes 10-9-9 rainbow. Top, pretty solid flop for me, and Glantz decides to c-bet 400. Happy to make the call. I don't think I can raise here just yet. The big blind player can have a lot of nines. Glantz can also have some overpairs I lose to. So I make the call, and surprised to see the big blind calls as well. So in my perspective, I'm certainly not loving it. Like I said, big blind most likely can have a lot of nines in this spot. So off to a turn we go, which comes a jack. An overcard to my pair. It does bring in some straights, and action's going to check around here. I don't really want to put a lot of money in the middle anymore. Now multi-way, back to a river we go, which comes the deuce of hearts. Big blind checks for a third time. Seems like he shouldn't have many nines now after checking 3 times. Glantz bets out $1,500, and I don't love this spot as he could have a jack here a lot of the time, but it just seems like my hand is a little too strong to fold. I have the best kicker to the ace, so if he's betting a 10 for value, then I beat all of that. So here we are. I just decide to make the call. If he has a jack, then good for him. Big blind gets out of the way, and I do get shown the bad news. He has a jack and wins. Never good omens to lose the first pot of the session, but trying to come on the comeback trail and battle. This next hand gets a little ridiculous with the $100, $200, and $400 straddles on, of course. Why not? Anyways, the button starts off with a limp of $400, and me in the $200 straddle, I decide to make the call with a wheel ace. Deeb checks his options, and three ways we go to a flop of queen, queen, 5, rainbow. Not a bad flop, but multi-way here, I decided to check. Action checks to the button, who bets out $600, and obviously I can't fold a 5 here right now for this price. I have a pair, expect to have the best hand a lot of the time, but I am a little bit confused as to what this opponent is limping with, but here we are. I make the call, and Deeb folds. Turn comes a 9, so I mean, it's really hard to find really good turn cards with my specific hand, so another card over my pair, action goes check, check, and off to a river now, which comes a 6. Okay, so now when my opponent checks through on the turn, I just expect to have the best hand a lot of the time here, and maybe there's a chance I can get called by some random 5s here that are worse than mine, or maybe just ace high. I decided to block bet and bet really small for value, and put out $700 into the middle. My opponent thinks this decision over and then ends up raising to $2,700? Oh man, I am very confused now, and it just seems so hard for this player to have a strong hand here after checking back on the turn, right? But ultimately, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and I don't know how Dintali plays. I just sat down. It's a whole brand new set of dynamics for me. For all those reasons, I decided to give him the benefit of the doubt about having a strong hand, and I let my 5 go. He ends up showing the sicko bluff, so well played by him, and he got the best of me here, getting the best hand to fold. In the next spot, the $200 straddle is on, and Jonathan Little decides to put in a raise on the button to $600. I peel ace 10 of spades in the small blind, and certainly is a fun hand to play, but I don't want to call out of position against the good players, so I 3-bet this one to $2,200. A little bit smaller than I like hindsight, but Jonathan really isn't playing super deep stacked. But now to my left, Deeb decides to wake up with a hand and makes the call of $2,200, folds around to the $200 straddler now, and he decides to put in the sicko 4-bet to $6,500. Dear God, what is going on in this hand?
J Little folds, and now onto me with ace-10 suited. I'm playing max out of position and with another player to act behind me. I feel like I can be dominated a lot of the time here, so I decided to just let my cards go and fold. Deeb also folds as well, and we all get shown the 7 deuce. Granted, the 7 deuce game isn't on, so no one actually owes him a bounty, but holy moly, good for Joey for printing so much money in this hand. Absolute savage 4-bet here, and just didn't know. I sat down amongst a table of maniacs, and I guess I'm here to ride this roller coaster ride. All right, finally time to pick up a strong hand. I pick up pocket kings on the button now, and there's a $100 straddle on. What a beautiful hand here. I decided to raise things up to 300, and only Deeb in the small blind to my left makes the call. Certainly will be playing a bunch of hands versus him. Heads up to a flop we go of queen 7-4 rainbow. Pretty good and dry flop for me, all things considered. So when he checks it over to me, I decided to bet out $500 here with my overpair. Expect him to sometimes connect with the board, sometimes just have a strong hand himself by playing a hand in the small blind. He ends up making a call, which is always really nice to see. Going to a turn now, which comes another 4. How sick is that? It's beautiful as I have the best 2-pair combo. Also, the 4 coming means he doesn't really have pocket 4s ever. So when he checks a second time, I expect to have the best hand very often here. So I size up to $1,600. Betting close to the size of the pot to get max value versus a queen or other non-believing pairs. And also, we're playing super deep versus Sean Deep, so I'd love to start building a big pot now. So for 1,600, he decides to make the call again, another great sight to see. Let's see a clean river here one time. The river is a 5. Total brick here basically, and I love to see it. He checks for a third time, and I think it's just time to pump the gas on this one. I'm betting big, and I overbet the pot to 6,500. And immediately, Deeb doesn't look happy about it, so my hand is certainly the winner for sure. All I have to do now is sit there and hope he ends up making the call. Be really nice to get paid here, please. The pot is building. It would be the biggest pot I've played so far in this session, and he does end up calling, which is awesome. I win the largest pot I've played so far, and things are looking pretty up after getting bluffed the last few hands. The straddles get out of hand continuously, and in this one, it's no different with the $200 and $400 straddle on. Action folds to me. I'm in the 200, and I see a premium of ace-queen off suits. I raise it up to 1,400. In hindsight, I think I probably could have raised more out of position, but here we are. Deeb defends the $400 straddle, and we're off to a flop, which comes 10-8 deuce to clubs. I flop a whole lot of nothing besides 2 overcards and a backdoor flush draw, so for those reasons, out of position, I decided to check my ace high. Sean now bets out $1,200 here, and I'm just never going to be folding this hand when I see this bet. I have 2 overcards that could be clean. I have the ace of clubs to either rep a flush, or I could just get there, runner, right? So I decided to make the call for 1,200 here. It seems like an easy decision, and off to a turn we go, which is the 5 of hearts. Once again, absolutely nothing for me. I check, and Deeb bets out again, this time sizing up to 3,500. Now, this is when we get into some murky water here, I think. Him betting here screams strength, and it seems standard to just fold and move on to the next hand, right? But, I just think I have plenty of outs here. I have 2 overcards like I said, and on top of that, I could credibly rep some flush draws if I bank the club on the river. And also, on top of all that, I just don't believe this guy. There seems like there's not many strong hands I lose to on this board, besides like 10-8 that's going to bet twice for a good amount, so I peel another one. Let's battle it out here in this spot, albeit I could always find a better spot anyways, but here we are. The river becomes the king of diamonds, a card that should hit me a lot more, but all things considered, a total brick. And I check it over to him with ace high, hoping to get the showdown with my ace queen high, and now Deeb decides to bet again and blast out 16.5k. Oh my god, I am so confused now. What is going on in this hand, and what strong hands can Deeb even have here by betting all 3 streets and betting so big, especially on this river? Just seems like he shouldn't connect with a king a lot of the time here, besides saying he has a 2-pair holding. Like, king 10 or 10 8, which is basically it. Obviously, I can't see that he has king 5 at all, which are the cards that he has, and I'm sitting with ace high, thinking that he can have tons of missed draws, like jack 9, queen jack, which I block, 6 7, all the missed clubs, and yeah. Sean's got a non-believing face here, and I Kiro call this huge bet, and fuck, I'm wrong. Just like that, one silly mistake here on the river here, and all of a sudden, I went from winning the session to getting crushed now, all because of one bad decision here on this river, and I give him $16,500 more than I should have. No need to be stuck on that bad hand and poorly played hand there. We're on the next one with an $800 straddle line now. Things are clearly getting out of hand. Everyone is also relatively short stacked, and the small blind first to act goes all in. When I say he's short stacked, he's got about $6,600, which is about 8 big blinds in this specific hand because of the $800 straddle being on. Anyways, action folds to me, and I have ace 10 offsuit. This hand seems good enough to call with 8 big blinds, but in real life, it's 6,600 real US dollars we're just flipping for here, hopefully. All right, I guess we're hoping that we're flipping. I decide to make the call, everyone else folds, and he shows pocket jacks. So not loving it, I am not flipping, but it doesn't even matter when the flop comes ace 10 10. What the hell? All right, lock up the win in this hand for me. It's not a massive pot here given the game, but I will take a $6,600 rebate from my bad call in the last hand. After winning that quote-unquote flip, this hand in the $200 straddle, Deeb opens up the action to $600. Folds back to me in the straddle, and I pick up a pretty good one in pocket jacks myself, and I decide to 3-bet this one to $2,600. Deeb quickly makes the call. Seems like he's got a very good and playable hand in my line of sight, so let's time to battle it out once again. I'm out of position every single time against him, but the flop comes 8 5 7 2 clubs. With my overpair, I still don't think this is the best flop for me here. Seems like he can have a lot of 2-pair combos, he can have a lot of sets, or just high equity draws that we might be flipping with. So out of position, I just start off with a check, and Deeb with a very disguised hand. Sadly for me, he bets out 2,500. Like I said, I'm already not loving this board texture, but I'm never going to be folding jacks in an overpair here in this spot. I lose 2 sets, 2 pairs, and I guess the very disguised straight that I never saw available. Anyways, I decided to make the call for 2,500. We're going to a turn now, which comes a king. Pretty unfortunate card now, as it's another one over my pair, and I check for a second time. Deeb now decides to really love his overbets because he bets out 15.4 thousand. Really hating life again. Out of position against Sean Deeb, certainly feeling indifferent between a call or fold now in this specific point, but you know me, I am stuck and I have pocket jacks. I guess we just go off to war because I'm just hoping to see a clean river card and having it go check. Is that too much to ask for, dealer? Let's go for it. I make the call as I still think I beat some draws or air or hands that he might be bluffing with here. So let's see a river, which comes the deuce of clubs. Not really super clean, as all of the bluffs he could have by bluffing with club draws get there. I don't even know what I beat at this point, so I start off with a check. Deeb thinks about it for a while, and luckily he checks back. Maybe I win with pocket jacks, but no, I get shown the bad news. I lose to the good old 6-4 of spades. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I thought my hand was the winner, and when I get shown the flop straight, this one hurt. I'll be honest, in real time, it hurt a lot to lose this one. For one of the last interesting hands of the night, the $800 straddle is on once again, and action folds to Jay Little on my right. He limps in for 800. I decide to call for 400 more with a decent playable 10-9 offsuit, and Deeb checks his options. So let's go to a flop 3 ways, which comes 10-5-5 2 clubs. Not super bad for me overall with a pair, but action's going to check through here. And we're going to a turn which comes another 5. All right, I've got a full house. Don't think I can really lose here a lot of the time, so when Jay Little checks to me, want to protect my hand against some overcards, so I bet out $1,500, And for 1500, Deeb once again makes the call. All right, we're battling one more time in this last spot. We're off to a river, which comes another 5. Oh, what a horrible card to see. Now I am sitting with the board as we both play quads. Ace high is the nuts, and I only have 10 high, which really sucks. Thinking over this spot, and I think all the options are in play right now. Do I bet this to potentially bluff off a hand that he could have? Maybe he could have a pocket pair. Maybe, I could represent ace high potentially. Could I get a 10 to fold as well? For sure. Or the other option is to just give up and check after a very, very brutal river. And after some time thinking it over, I decided to bet out a small block bet of 1,000. Mainly because I'm stuck and I just want to win every pot now at this point. But Deeb decides to raise up the action to 6,700. Another very, very annoying spot at this point. And I'm stuck piles in this game right now. And when I'm stuck piles, that kind of alters my decision making to fight for every single pot. And the only way I could ever win in this spot is to hope that Deeb is bluffing and that for me to 3-bet and get him off his hand. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm putting this theory to the test to hopefully think that he's bluffing. I decided to put in a min 3-bet to 15.5 thousand. As you can see on screen, this is simply a pure punt, but Deeb thinks about it for a while and a very long time. Thinks about it for so long that potentially I might be able to get this bluff through, but he ends up actually talking out loud saying that we might be chopping.
Sean Deeb just planted that, get him off a chop so that he could.
And once he says that, it's clear he's got an ace, and I'm hating life. Seems like he's never going to fold. He ends up making the call. Hollywood slow rolls me. And yeah, okay, everyone. This was a pure punt, unfortunately, and a pure whacking in this session. He makes the call. I came in to the stream, made my donations, and this was the last interesting hand of the night. I am now down piles in a short amount of time on this stream. All right, I'm back in my room. Here's the cash out total. That's how many chips I have.
Not great because, there's so many things I want to say, so many things overall, to start off, really cool experience to play on Poker Night in America. It's so iconic. It's such a staple in the poker industry, poker history. And for me, random ass guy, to be able to hop on stream and play is an incredible experience. And it makes for a really cool video and mainly experience. Money-wise, it didn't go great. Like, it was advertised as the 25-50 game, and I thought maybe the 100 would be on. It was 200, 400, 800, 1600 sometimes, which makes it a really big game. The swings are really high. And on top of that, the only big stack at the table was directly to my left, who also happens to probably be the best player at the table. So playing out of position against the best player at the table, who also is the only person that has a lot of money in the stack, makes it pretty difficult. I think the ace-queen hand was bad. And I'll go over the numbers. I bought in for 95,000. I was out of the game for 52,650, which is an L. Like, I played for 2.5 hours. I lost 40,000, and I'm kind of numb to the swings, to be honest. I want to say, like, it hurts a lot, this and that, but when you play high stakes cash and when straddles get big, the game gets enormous. It gets to a point where these swings are going to happen. So I never get too high about winning. I never get as low, or I do get low, but I don't get super upset about losing. Like today, it was just like variance. I think the ace-queen hand that I called the river overbet to was really, really bad. But every other time, I tried to mix in some bluffs when quads 5 appeared on the river, and he just had the nuts, which was ace high. Maybe I can relook that spot. The jacks hand, maybe I fold turn, but he probably has a lot of air too. I don't know. I've never played with Sean, but obviously he's a really good player, so he should have some bluffs. Overall, like, it's just a variance war, and I only played for 2.5 hours. And, if I ran well and had it a lot of the time, then I also might as well have lost, might have also won like $50,000. So, like, the swings are insane. It's getting really crazy and out of line and ridiculous. I don't know how sustainable this is going to be, because obviously the numbers are big and it's hard to be very liquid to have all this cash to play with. But, yeah, that's kind of how I feel after punting off a lot. It's a big chunk of money, but for the size of the game, like, it's just a drop in the bucket, which is insane to me. And being new to this high stakes cash world, just gotta embrace the swings. Just like tournament poker where you expect to lose a lot of the time. In cash games, like I won 120,000 last week playing cash games. This week, I'm down 50,000. It's just all part of the journey, and hopefully, you know, these swings don't get as crazy, but with my playstyle, I'm sure they will. And that's it. So these numbers are insane, but thanks so much for watching this one. It was a really cool experience. Makes for a cool vlog. It got whacked, but that's part of the process, and I'm okay with it. Just trying to not lose, try to not have these losing sessions compound over each other. So I might be able to play the next time that there's a stream, but depending on the tournament schedule. But thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. As long as you guys got some entertainment, hit that like button. It means a lot. And I'll see you next time. Peace.